I'm confident it'll be free and fair. I don't know whether it'll be peaceful. The things that Trump has said and the things that he said last time out when he didn't like the outcome of the election were very dangerous. If you notice, I noticed that the vice presidential Republican candidate did not say he'd accept the outcome of the election. They haven't even accepted the outcome of the last election. So I'm concerned about what they're going to do.
That was President Biden on Friday, making his first ever appearance in the White House briefing room, and he delivered a warning about the peaceful transfer of power after November's election. Joining us now, national political correspondent for Politico, Meredith McGraw. Meredith, good to see you this morning. So let's talk right there. The president's not wrong. The Republican ticket has not pledged to honor the results of this coming election. I know law enforcement is deeply concerned about the possibility of more violence this time around. What are you hearing from other Republicans? What do they think might happen?
Well, President Biden said that he expected a free and fair election, but he really did stop short of expressing confidence that there would be a peaceful transfer of power. And we know that there are serious concerns from the federal government about January 6th, about the possibility of violence again. We know that DHS Secretary Mayorkas has made January 6th and the electoral vote count, a special national security event. There's going to be beefed up security this time around, an extra scrutiny on how Secret Service, of course, handles this event again. But you know, Biden is responding to J.D. Vance on the debate stage last week, saying or not directly answering the question about whether he and Trump would accept the election results. And it comes to, as we heard at the Butler rally over the weekend, you know, Trump and people like Elon Musk saying that this could be the last election if he doesn't win.
Yeah, so Meredith, you led me to exactly where I wanted to go next. There's so much happening this weekend. I think sort of was somewhat overlooked that former President Trump returned to Butler County, the exact site of the assassination attempt back in July, to hold another rally. Elon Musk, as you mentioned, made a cameo. Tell us more about what we heard.
Well, this was part celebration. It was part a commemoration where they, you know, gave tribute to one of Trump's supporters who lost his life and the two others who were injured, and just the harrowing and traumatic aspect of that day. But of course, it was also a Trump rally. And so it was filled with all the hallmark features of a Trump rally itself. But, you know, we noted in our story at Politico just about how this is a different political circumstance for Trump coming into this rally. He needs to win Pennsylvania. It's a must-win battleground state for the Harris and Trump campaigns. And so part of this, too, was about ginning up support in that part of the state as well.
Yeah, you could not be more right. In the aftermath of that assassination attempt, his last visit in Butler, Trump was riding high in the polls. He went into the convention, opened up a real lead. It felt like it was his race to lose, but then President Biden dropped out. And now we have a dead heat. So talk to us about where the Trump team feels, where they feel this race is, and what states do they feel the best about, or perhaps those they're worried about?
Well, when I've talked to people in the Trump campaign, they express a kind of quiet confidence about things and the polling that they're seeing internally across battleground states. But look, when you look at this race, it could not be any closer. It's hard to say if anyone's up or down at any one moment in this campaign. And it really, you know, feels like as we're now in the month of October, it's hard to imagine what sort of October surprise might actually be able to move the needle at all in this race.
Yeah, there's certainly already been a bunch of newsworthy events in the last couple of days, the first days of October. The polls, at least for now, remain unchanged. National political correspondent for Politico, Meredith McGraw, thank you as always. We'll talk to you again real soon. And